are joined now by Lino Lakes City Council member seeking re-election, Melissa Maher. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Hello, Rusty.
Nice to see you here. And you are running for, this would be your first re-election. It would be for a second term.
Second term.
For one of the two open seats.
Yes, my seat and Mike Manthy's seat are open for re-election. Hard to believe that 4 years went just like that.
And a rather crowded field, and given that it's not a major election year, and there's not going to be all the statewide and national races, but a crowded field, and something you say is a good thing.
Yes, I think it's great. I think it's really exciting that there are so many people taking interest in both City Council and Mayor. And we had a chance to chat briefly before, and I was talking about what a great response we've had in the last year with our boards this year. You know, when we've asked for applicants for board positions, we've gotten such a tremendous number of people, and I think that is so great because that's what city government is for. It's for the city. And so I just think this is a great thing that we have so much interest.
And you've had a little bit of taste of that, the 4 years, and you are looking for another 4 years, but what after that?
But then after that, I'm done.
Okay.
I think I would like to sit another term because we have a couple of projects that are important to me and that I was there for the start, and I'd like to see them through to fruition, specifically the Ling-Blomston project. Right. And I'm really excited for the end of the West Shadow project. It's just about done, and I'm so excited we got that done during the term that I was on. Yeah. But after that, you know, I'm not looking to become like a tenured member of Lino Lakes City Council. I think 2 terms is enough, and then I'll move on to something else because hopefully, unless say the unthinkable were to happen and there was nobody else running at that, I wouldn't step down and be like, see ya. But otherwise, I'm not planning on running for a 3rd term just because I don't really see a need for that. Okay. You know?
Let's talk quickly about those 2 projects you mentioned, because I think there's some characteristics of both that I think are interesting. It's my understanding, and I could be wrong about this, that Ling-Blomston is very very picky about where it locates. It's not a huge conglomeration. No. It's only in select communities. And so this process bears that out a little bit, right? It's been a long process.
It has been a long, rather arduous process. A lot of back and forth with the city because obviously we want to be choosy about what we let into the city and what kind of developments. And there are quite a few senior developments going in here and there, especially in surrounding communities. Right. And so we know we don't need 100 of these around because eventually the tide will turn, it always does. Right. So but this one will be such a nice development that we think that it'll be a nice thing to have for one on sort of a gateway of the city. It'll be a beautiful, at least aesthetically very pleasing development. And so people will see that as they come in at that end of Lino. And so we're happy about that.
Talking about County J and Hodgson there,
County J and Hodgson,
that kind of area, right?
So it's basically, across the street is Shoreview. And as soon as people are entering Lino, they will see that beautiful senior development. And so that is definitely not a bad thing for the city to have something very aesthetically pleasing on one of our main entry corners.
And then the West Shadow Lake Drive project, it really is the fundamentals, it seems, of what city government is about, is providing services that people need that allow them to take advantage, and it's repaving, but it's also adding the sewer line and city wells or city sewer services.
City sewer and water for people who want it. Right. There are plenty of people on West Shadow who have their wells and want to keep them, and that's great. They should be allowed to do that. But the sewer aspect, it's a little different. Okay. Because of the septic's age, you can't make a septic in the very same spot you had a septic. Right. And so lot sizes are very dependent on how many years of septic you can get out of that. And it just helps to sort of bring parts of the city that are lacking in utilities into 2020 as we move into that. And that was probably, I would say, my best moment on council was the night that we voted to the final vote for that project, and our audience stood up and clapped. And I thought, that's why we sit here. It was such a great feeling to know that even though that tax assessment is hefty, I will freely admit that it cost a lot of money for the city and for the residents of West Shadow to do that, but they're so happy. And I thought even after that tax assessment, they're still this excited, and that made me really happy for them.
Well, it seems like the folks that live down there, I know a couple people that live there, that's some of that is emblematic of Lino Lakes. They love living on the lake. There's amenities
Yes.
with Chamonix, the bike trails, the county park is right through there. And so now having the services, they're kind of getting the best of everything that Lino Lakes, and this is my opinion, I live in Lino Lakes, I'll say it. It's the best of what Lino has to offer. And so you're on the inside of that process. You want to see that finish out.
And I don't want to go into any of the backstory. For one, I wasn't there, so I don't really know it. But I mean, I think everybody has heard the horror stories about the few times they tried to get a project passed on West Shadow. And this process was not like that at all. I think we came at it from a completely different angle, and the residents really saw that and appreciated that, and were willing to work with the council, realizing that we really just wanted to do something to help them at this point. I mean, that road was hands down dangerous.
It was rough. Yeah.
Yes, that road was bad, needed to be replaced. And when you're without city sewer in this day and age, maybe some people really enjoy their septics and aren't weirded out by that. I've never had septic.
Right.
I'm not opposed to it, but it would be something that I would be leery of just because I have no experience with it. But it just seems to me that it would be so much easier to have city sewer. But maybe it's not. Residents weigh in on that. Let me know if you really like your septic. I would appreciate knowing that too.
You normally do hear from those who do. Normally they're the ones who show up and
normally
say,
it's
"Don't
people
change
who
it."
don't like something
And don't
that
charge
we
me
hear.
thousands of dollars. Right,
Yes.
right. So those projects aside, are there any other opportunities you see moving forward in 4 years before the council? There's going to be a little bit of a change of council. There'll be a new mayor, maybe some other turnover.
There will be.
So
Yes.
are there opportunities for other things that you see coming?
You know, I'm sure that there are opportunities for some wonderful things. We have some money in place and some very preliminary administrative things in place for the community rec center.
Right.
And I still haven't determined whether I'm 100% for that or anything. I do maybe think there might be something better to spend our money on, but it's really, I mean, I think it would be great for the community. I'm just wondering if now is the right time to do that. And like I said, we have money set aside for it, but we haven't really started. But with the water tower going in there, which I can't wait to start seeing that process. Why are we so fascinated with big things like that? But that will be really fun to watch that water tower go up. And, you know, so I understand that at the same time doing that may save the city some money, but we haven't really explored that facet of it that much. How much money will it save us? And as our primary job being stewards of the taxpayer funds, those are things that I want to know, because I'm not totally set on this yet on the rec center.
Okay. An opportunity for Anoka County working with Washington County now on this Minnesota Tech Corridor.
Oh, yes.
Right
yes.
right along Lino Lakes there with the neighboring communities, Centerville, Hugo, Forest Lake. And again, the counties working together, I-35E. What kind of opportunity do you see for Lino Lakes to capitalize on that and be a real part of this process of maybe drawing in a big company?
Well, we have been discussing that at council meetings, obviously. Right. It's one of the things that we're discussing was how great it would be to get a data center to move in. I mean, we have land. Lino has a lot, and especially in that corridor, we have a lot of commercial land available. And being the tax base being what it is, mainly rooftops, we would love to see some more commercial. And when we say commercial, I think I can safely speak for almost everyone on the council and the mayor, both outgoing and incoming. When I say industry, we're not talking smokestacks and you know, things spewing chemicals. We're speaking more along the lines of data centers and manufacturing plants, things that don't create such a burden on the environment around them. And environment being both our literal environment and our city environment. But that is one thing we would really like to see come in, a data center, because they have a kind of a small footprint in terms of jobs and things for the community too. So that is not as desirable, but in terms of an overall business that won't interrupt anything in Lino Lakes, a data center would be a good fit, and it would fit into that technical corridor. And then we have the 5G network issue that's been before council for a while now, and we're talking about it, no set plans, and I know there are some issues surrounding it that have come to the forefront. Council's received some emails from people about it potentially being a health threat in some manner, and I have to research these things. I don't know enough to comment one way or the other. But it's something that I will definitely look into if residents are concerned about it. But it is something that is here, and Minneapolis is trying to do it, which doesn't mean we have to, but it is something that we've been discussing as a council, because I suppose people always want the latest and greatest, the fastest internet you can have, but no set plans yet for that. But it would really fit into the whole technological corridor issue that we are discussing.
What is it about Lino Lakes that you have stayed there so long, you've served now in this capacity, you wish to continue serving? What is it really that draws you in, draws others in to want to live and want to stay and raise families in the city of Lino Lakes, do you think?
Well, I can tell you what the very first thing that brought me out here were friends that lived out here, and they all said, "Oh, it's great out here. You should come and move out here." And so we came out, and I loved the fact, and I still love the fact, that a mile from my home up the road is Cardinal Farm. And Andy Cardinal, rest in peace. And I love the fact that we can go a mile in pretty much any direction and find a still functioning farm. And that isn't a very common thing anymore.
Right.
And I understand in terms of development that we are a very attractive area because we have a lot of this farmland. And I hate to see a lot of it go, but the flip side is that, the people who own that land that's their retirement. Right. And so those things have to be taken into consideration too. And so that was, these are things that I learned after talking to residents out here. Right. And after running the first time in 2013, and then I was able to really speak to some of the farmers out here, and they really made me understand some things that I did not understand because that is not my background. Right. And so I was very thankful for that. But people live out here because the schools are good, the atmosphere is good. It's pretty. It's not bustly out here. Well, traffic is getting worse everywhere. I don't know what the deal is. And then I swear it seems like the DOT was trying to hold us hostage for a while.
Yeah, right.
Everywhere we go.
There's cones everywhere.
I know,
There's
cones.
Slow
You're not
stopping.
leaving Lino.
Yeah, right.
So, but it's better now, and 35 will be amazing once it's done.
Sure.
But I think it's just sort of that rural feel. Even though we're not really rural, we still have a little bit of that feel left because we do still have some farms. We have some old residences. We have things that speak to the fact that our past out here is rural. And I think that really gels with people now. That
Certainly.
They want to see the green space and they want to have the trails and the parks and the beautiful things for their family. And I know that's why we've stayed out here. I mean, we live on the edge of a beautiful wetland and with trails, and it's wonderful. I love it. I can't even imagine not living somewhere like that.
Yeah.
So that's why we've stayed, and my kids have been happy in the schools, and they're almost done now. But that's
good deal.
Yeah.
Good deal. Last question for you, very quickly, if you can. 20 years down the line, what do you see for the city of Lino Lakes? What is it going to look like? Are they going to be drastically changed, or is it going to continue with what you just described?
Well, it will continue with what I've just described. We will be losing more and more of our open space because that is what happens. I just hope that future councils and mayors really keep the developers in check to make sure that what we're building is what Lino Lakes wants and not what developers think we want, because they are not the same. One thing I'm really worried about as the future comes, we have old neighborhoods in Lino, and the roads are crumbling. They have no water or sewer, no utilities, and we're so and we have to be focused on the new because that's how we earn money. But it really upsets me that there are these old areas of Lino, and that's how the city was built, with these old neighborhoods, and it's like we're just letting them disintegrate, and I hate that. That really upsets me, and so I've actually talked at length to Mike Rashala, our community development director, about this, because there are grants for everything new, but I am looking for grants for rehabilitation types of things for roads, because these people need newer roads with water and sewer. And I heard that time and time again campaigning, and I have not yet figured out how to help these people and do it, but that is something that's really important to me. And if we don't address this in 20 years, those people, they're going to be really angry, for one. But a lot of them may not be able to sell their properties because they have non-conforming septics. You know, it'll just be hard for them and getting harder if we don't do something about these older neighborhoods. So that is really something that I'm hoping to start to bring more to the forefront and trying to figure out a way to help get on these streets.
Okay.
You know,
All right.
so
Melissa Maher, thank you very much.
thank you. Thanks for having me.